Hello, this is Paula Guthrie from Creating Purpose with Pal, and I want to welcome you to the Spanglish World Network. It's on Zingo TV, channels 250, 251. Please remember to download both the Zingo TV app on the respective app store. It could be iOS and also Android store. While you download, make sure that you rate our app and that you leave a comment. The app is for free. It's Zingo TV. It's also available on Google Chromecast and Amazon Fire, as well as Fire TV Stick, Roku Stick, also on Smart TV 2016 forward. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. I would love to welcome my friend Karen Sizelove-Murphy. She is a ADHD parent-child coach. Welcome to the house today, Karen. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Pal. I appreciate you and all that you do. Much gratitude.
And we're here to talk about ADHD. ADHD is attention deficit hyperactive disorder. And we have a beautiful coach that she's very passionate about educating people. And I would love for you to share your story so we can get to know you more.
Wonderful. Well, my story is that I'm an ACE, so I'm an artist, coach, educator. I grew up pretty much in the woods. My dad was a Boy Scout leader, so I didn't realize at the time that being in nature is a huge win-win for anybody with ADHD. Just to be out in nature, it's very calming and relaxing. And I also went through design school, and I didn't realize at the time that that's hands-on is key for ADHD. So hands-on activities, I built models and worked for architects, and that was very amazing. And I've also been coached, mentored by ADHD coaches. It's just been a phenomenal life.
Awesome.
It's create. So whatever you dream, you create it and you live it.
That's awesome. So what has been some of your biggest struggles and challenging growing up with your ADHD?
My biggest challenge with ADHD is nobody really understood me, like my social skills, they just weren't there. And I didn't understand why. People would say, well, you're really smart if she would just focus, or she's always daydreams all the time. I wouldn't necessarily, the teacher would call on me and ask me a question. Well, by the time it got to me, I forgot the question. So then I looked, not to use a negative word of stupid, but I looked it wasn't so good. So then I just retreated within, and I would just daydream a lot until I found something I could, we're still talking about the challenges. It's about growth mindset as well. So the growth mindset really wasn't there. I didn't necessarily have a mentor or a coach yet.
I learned in my adult age that ADHD is just because you have less activity on your prefrontal cortex, which is that last part of our brain that develops and is the one in charge of organizing, planning, judging. That's kind of like our filter, where sometimes it's like, nope, that's not the right thing to say. Sometimes if we don't have enough activity there, sometimes we choose, our mouth just says whatever our mind allow us to say. So that is a very for me was very informative as a mom, and just keeping an eye of why my kids sometimes say things that are not supposed to. And it's like, oh, it's because their brain has not fully developed. So that's why I'm so glad that you're here, that you can teach us and learn what it's like, to have fun with ADHD, because I believe you have superpowers. I believe every ADHD person out there, they're magnificent in the ER. Like you were talking, you are creative, you are an artist. There's so many superpowers to be expressed whenever you have ADHD. So I would love to educate people where it's like something to be proud of. It's just like everybody else might have a challenge here and there, but you still have beautiful value to bring into the world, and especially with your creativity. So how did you overcome your challenges?
How I overcome my challenges was all about structure and routine. If one gets in the habit of keeping a planner or a checklist, something visual on the wall, because we can think it a million times over and yet we forget it. So what we write, we invite. Just like Joseph McClellan III says in Yarrow encoding. So again, what we write, we invite. So if we keep a checklist on the wall, okay, what is our routine for the day? And really the whole day is a routine. Not that means it's the same thing every day, but it's a routine, meaning I look at before, like a child would go to school, you look at your list and you check it off and you say, okay, I've got my water, I drank my ketones, I have my journal and my planner, I have my homework, and you're checking that the night before and then you're checking the morning of. So then you're more confident and it raises your self-esteem. So some of my superpowers, again, are, and also I have acquired mentors and coaches, and also camp, to attend a camp hands-on, whether it be climbing a tree or paddling down a river, which is ideal for me, and learning about trees and plants, is that you're following through to the end. Because many times with people with ADHD, you see everything, thousands of ideas come in, and it's like squirrel, and then you're like off onto something else. But when you're paddling, you've got to get to your destination, and you're learning that you can do this, and I got this. And so again, routine and structure is just key. It's been key for me my whole life.
Awesome. I'm glad you mentioned that, because like you said, sometimes you lose focus really, really fast. So how do you stay focused on the things that are not interesting at sometimes? Because what I've learned with Dr. Amen about people that have ADHD is that if it's something that is not interesting to you, it's going to take forever to finish a task. Like usually it has to be something that you enjoy and that it's your hobby. Like if you want your child, like if my child had ADHD, I would have to put him on tasks that I know he likes and he enjoys, right? Versus making him do that things that he don't like, but still we have to teach them to get unpleasant tasks done. So how would you how do you work that? Like doing the dishes, I mean, something that you don't like to do but you still have to do. How do you go back to focusing?
Okay, to laser focus and to basically hyper focus on a task that you don't really like to do, think back at what your ADHD superpowers are. I'm a genius. We're geniuses. And our hearing is a genius. Creativity is a genius. I mean, like being positive and encouraging. So you want to think back and go, wow, I am really good at this. I know that I'm good at those things, that these are my superpowers. So then I would redirect it and make sure you exercise before you do anything. At least if you want to get up and do 10 jumping jacks or do some push-ups or walk out in nature, just change your view on something. Another thing that I teach children is just to go, I got this, I got this, I got this.
Got this, yes.
Or before you do any kind of task that's like put you to sleep, it really helps. It just helps activate the mind, activates the dopamine. So
Okay.
I would, yeah.
Okay, can you repeat that one more time? I think I lost you for just a second. You said you teach them to, like, you have to work out even 10 jumping jacks before you go to your activity, or you tell them like, I got this, and then there was one more that I missed.
The third one would be, before you do any kind of test, make sure you're drinking water, and eat snacks that actually fuel the brain, which would be like avocado, have some nuts. That actually raises your dopamine. Here's a third one. Raise your eyebrows and smile really big, ear to ear.
Okay.
Dopamine in your brain, and helps you hyper focus on those boring tasks.
Yes.
Follow through.
Yes, we have 80 muscles on our face. So it's like if even if you don't want to smile, if you smile, your biochemistry will take place, and like Karen is saying, is going to motivate you to go towards that task.
And also a really powerful after you get done with this boring task, just already plan it and know that you're going to celebrate afterwards, because that's going to raise your dopamine going, wow, if I do the dishes or if I take out the trash, I know I can go out in the backyard and play, or I can take a walk in the woods, and it's really calming. So that's really good to celebrate. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yes, yes, because we don't celebrate ourselves enough. And it doesn't have to, you don't have to spend money on celebration. You know, it could be a pat on the back, it could be a high five,
Yeah.
it could be a happy dance. But it's like if we teach, yes, if we teach our brain, you know, that we're happy and we're celebrating, your brain is going to want to do more of it. So that's how is neuroscience. We're just training our brain to want more of it. So that's good. Uh, so what strategies do you use, which you just share, you know, do you use those strategies as well to increase your motivation whenever you're having a day where you know that it's not you, but you know you have to finish your routine? What are some of your motivation strategies that you use or you advise your parents to use at home?
Well, it's really powerful, besides the food and the things that I just mentioned, to definitely want to avoid like sugar, high fructose things, because that just drags one down. It doesn't serve any purpose, the organic and non-GMO. But what I do is dance, be creative and have fun with your child. Get out and have fun with them. Have gratitude journals. Have gratitude journals, or also write gratitude cards. Give them to your parents, give them to your grandparents, friends. It's very powerful to show that correspondence. Get out again, get out in nature, go kayaking, do something physical, a craft, be creative. That increases mine. Here's what I do as well. And I learned this from my 89-year-old coach. I make hats. It's really easy out of sweaters, and I repurpose everything. So you just want to just be creative, and that really engages the mind.
Yeah, can you share your website with us? Karen, she is an artist. She loves to create. So she has a website, her and her husband, and that's what she was doing. I mean, that's super neat. Recycling sweaters, and then she makes hats out of them.
Mm-hmm. And then you use the fur off the back of your jackets, which is, it's just easy because it's less for a landfill and it's art for your head. So they're just, so our website will be effective on 1 May 2022. We're working with our publicist. So it is vividlifedesign.com. 3 words, vividlifedesign.com.
Where did this idea, because it became, you know, reality? Because you guys lived in Colorado before, right? Is it the cold weather in Colorado that allowed you to?
Well, we had a retreat where we served the Lord. I believe in the Lord. He works through me. And we had a retreat to serve people. It was a lodge and a lake house, and it was cold in the winters. We had like 13 feet of snow, and it was very remote. I was in the mountains, and so I just knew that I wanted a community where I'd be closer to. And I was coached by ADHD Coach and went through ADCA, a ADHD training academy. And we created our business called, well, we changed it a bit to Vivid Life by Design. Okay. So that's vividlifebydesign.com as well. So it's all about, you can see on this, if I'm staying on track here, see how you can see like the man and the woman, the tree is like a tree of life. And then the sunrise. But as you were saying, ask me again.
Right? Oh, well, we were talking about like you make hats because that's your creativity. That's how you express one of your gifts.
Yes.
And if there is anybody here in our audience that wants to donate their sweaters, is that how could they help you? Like, is that how?
Absolutely. I love embroidered wool sweaters.
Okay.
Then the pattern is already on it. And then people have given me mink stoles and things like that, because that's just things people just throw away and go into our landfill and fill it up.
Mm-hmm.
Or also fake fur off the back of jackets. I mean, that's just, makes fun fun
Yeah,
headband.
that's awesome. So yeah, the question was, where did the idea was
Where
born?
it come from is that
Mm-hmm.
I've always been very talented, always been in 4-H all throughout my early days, went through design school. I met a mentor up in Wisconsin. She's 89 years of age, a fashion designer. She's also a fabric artist. I call myself a fabric artist, a milliner, being a hat maker. And she encouraged me. She said, Karen, you've got a lot of talent. You choose to give back. So what inspired me, I said, well, may I make your hats? Because it was easy to me. It's 4 panels on the inside, 4 panels on the outside, and a headband, you got it. And you just stitch on precious jewels on it. Is that I was invited to sell my hats at a winter solstice in Durango, Colorado. And it was to give my 40% of tithing to children for their theater and art, because it's all about art and creative with the mind. Be your inner coach versus your inner critic. And so I was the top seller. I made well over 125 hats. I was the top seller. They're like, come on back next year. I said, I'll be in Texas, because I already visualized that I'd be in Texas the next year. And I was. So
Yay.
with hats, it's very powerful. Just be creative, doodle, and figure out what you're really passionate about, and just do it.
Yes, and she has a phrase that she says, intention creates results, which I love it.
And then my hats are actually called Attitude of Gratitude Fabric Art.
Oh,
How
okay.
powerful is that? So you're wearing Attitude of Gratitude on your head. And it's a reminder to be grateful to everyone around you for all.
Oh, that's sweet. And you donate, she donates to education. You know, like she has a percentage that she donates to education. So that's sweet.
Mhm.
So do you struggle prioritizing?
I do. Actually, it was a challenge, just knowing I had all these questions to answer. And it was a challenge because I was like, well, what do I do first? And so then I might be going a little bit ahead, but this is mind map. So I mind mapped everything, because that uses 6 levels of the brain, stimulates my imagination, my comprehension. So after I wrote it all out, to write something like this is pretty boring, and I normally write from right to left, so it really is not productive. So then when I mind map, it uses color and pictures, because I sketch it, and it keeps me involved to know what to say.
So where can we learn about this strategy that you use? And it's called mapping techniques.
Called mind mapping. It's the original founder of it is Tony Buzan. So
Oh,
you
wow.
just, and you would look up Tony Buzan, and he has all about what it really. And you're always using at least 3 different colors in your mind mapping, and you're using pictures as well. Basically, you're looking at it like a tree, or one picture in the center, and then as it stems out, it's like tree limbs. So you only have one thought per tree limb, and it's super easy just to look at that and go, oh, I got it. I got it. Now, had I had this back when I was in grade school, it had really helped me a lot.
So explain to us what you did. Is like, was it the tree was the interview, and then each branch was like the question?
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yes. Thanks for being laser focused on that. You rock, pal. Okay. Yes, like share your story and background. I'm an ACE. I'm an artist coach, educator, encourager. So I sketched a tree in the beginning with birds in the river, because I love trees. I love the sunlight coming through trees. So I'm gonna sketch something I want in the center. You want to use 3 or more colors, and every, like, per question, then my biggest struggles were, how do you and you just label them all around. Typically I go left to right, and you're starting with your bottom of your rainbow. Remember, it's really important to wear purples and blues, and actually color with purples and blues, because it's higher frequency. And
Okay. I'm wearing blue today.
I do have purple on. It's just I have a designer shirt on as well, but yes.
Awesome.
Powerful.
Uh, so I've learned from Dr. Amen about a lot of ADHD. So on one of his stories, he says that a person with ADHD lacks adrenaline. There's a deficiency of adrenaline, so they're always looking for something exciting to do. Like what's something exciting we can be doing? Like they're always kind of like looking for that. Well, he says actually it's the brain trying to look for that balance. Like trying to find the adrenaline. Uh, so it kicks your behavior. So, what are some of the stories that you can share with us? Since you said you grew up in the woods, what something funny or something you want to share with us that you had to do and you think it was because of your brain trying to balance and get the adrenaline?
So for the adrenaline, I mean, really, it's all about recreational activities. Like my dad was a Boy Scout leader besides being a sheet metal worker. So he was a metal artist. My mother was a master gardener. But we would get out in nature. We would go camping 2 or 3 times a month. And I would learn about the trees and the plants and the animal. That kept me engaged. I like to hunt and hike and fly fish. I just like to be out in nature because when you're out in nature, the trees, everything is calming. But am I answering what you want?
I didn't know if you had a funny story you wanted to share that it was, it gave you adrenaline. Like maybe I'll come to you later and then you can share with us. I just find it
so like what would you say on that? Let me hear what you would say.
And well, some of the examples that he shares is that they're always looking for what are we going to do tomorrow, and they're looking for something exciting. Like they're asking. Like I think of sometimes kids. Like they want to go do something cool, and it could be just going to the park. To them is like let's go to the park or let's do something that they don't do every day because that's exciting. And it gives them that boost of adrenaline, just doing something different. So I don't know if you had a special idea of what excitement was when you were a child or maybe now.
Well, I really enjoy photography. So, I mean, everything for me is squirrel. I mean, I love the sun coming through the trees. I take a lot of those pictures. Okay. I like the ripples down the river. I like to be out kayaking and take lots of pictures of birds and the trees and wildlife. I'm all about wildlife.
Okay.
Because when you're playing, that really raises your adrenaline to get to do things. You have to choose to get from A to B.
Well, that's what I was thinking, because it's like I think I can only focus on kayaking. Probably I'll be afraid of the water. But you're doing two things at the same time, kayaking and taking pictures. So there we go. That's how you get your adrenaline.
Here's another thing that I did. It was really powerful. Was that I became a junior naturalist at all the state parks within about a 200 radius of our home, because we went camping every weekend. So that was really engaging. That really raised your adrenaline because you're out hiking and learning about the plants, the animals, the poisonous, what plants you can eat, what plants you choose to avoid, poison ivy, poison oak. And then the remedies are right there around the lakes and the streams of jewelweed on what to. So if there's a poisonous plant, pretty much right next to it's a non-poisonous plant. It's pretty phenomenal. So that I love doing that.
Wow. So can you choose on like medicinal herbs? Can you identify some of?
Actually, yes. Excuse me. Like adrenaline. Let's see. There's one called Yarrow. Now I'm not sure if you can see that. Yarrow is a native plant, and it's also a food source. Excuse me. But when you chew this up, Yarrow, let's just say you're out hiking and a twig scratches your leg, and now you've got a cut. Well, instead of just slapping on whatever that is in your first aid kit, instead of doing that and put a Band-Aid on it, what you do, you would chew up Yarrow. Okay. It's a medicinal plant, and you would put it with your own saliva on your cut. It takes away the pain and it heals it without scarring, and then you can put a Band-Aid on if you want.
Okay.
So it's really handy to use.
Good. You should come to Tahlequah, Oklahoma. You're not that far away. There is a river, there is a lake, and we can go. You can teach me to go hiking.
That sounds fabulous. When you like with ADHD, if you can think it, you can do it, you can create it, and that's how I created my tiny. That's how I I dreamt about my tiny home, and then I sketched it out because I'm eco interior designer. And then I built it with my own hands, and then we live in it. So
Wow.
you it, be your inner coach. You think it and you create it. Intention creates results. So we just our other little RV out there, and which is a Coachman Beyond. It's all about the names of things too. Key.
Wow. I need to learn about that. Names of things.
Cabin is actually called Gratitude Trout Tracker because my husband's a hunter and a fly fisherman, and so it's all about giving gratitude wherever you go. It's so important to give praise and gratitude to your children, to yourselves, to your parents, grandparents, anybody around. It's very valuable. It raises self-esteem and confidence that they're doing.
Yes, well, the name of the show is Creating Purpose with Pau. So I hope, like we all are creating some purpose in our life, especially with your phrase that is intention creates results. Mm-hmm. And you're now giving me the gift of gratitude, like you were saying, like be grateful. And that's what your hats mean as well, right?
Yes, correct. Mm-hmm.
That is beautiful. Share with us about your husband, because you mentioned that he also has ADHD.
Yes, my husband does have ADHD, and we've got married 10 years ago on June 11th of this year. When I met him, he didn't know he's ADHD. He's a retired lieutenant colonel out of the Air Force, and he's a scientist, and he didn't know it at the time, but then I realized it, and we had him tested, and he's Mensa as well. I mean, he's a Mensa, meaning he's very intelligent. It's definitely a challenge. And I use a positive, encouraging words. It is a challenge instead of saying it's a struggle or difficult. If you're going to say that, you're just bringing it on. Your higher power is saying, hey, you want to struggle? We'll give it to you. Instead, we can say I'm challenged, or you can say it opens up room for opportunity. And that's really powerful to think that way. So it's all about structures, like what I stated earlier, to have your routine and your calendar on the wall. So in the morning, right upon we wake up, we do our prayers. We drink a glass of water, 12 to 16 ounces. We drink our ketones for mental clarity, focus, mood, energy. After that, we do our power machine in our tiny home. So we're in an RV Coachman, which is a RV van. We travel in that because it's totally set up with a latrine and kitchen and all. So then we're on a power machine in the morning. We make sure we both do that. Go through our meditation, do our armbands, because when you build your self-confidence and self-esteem, it just makes a better day for everyone. Be really positive, encouraging, always compliment people, whether it be your spouse or anyone. And you notice when they're doing good, praise them for that because they'll do it again. And so that's powerful. Let's see. We also exercise. We walk and talk. So we like to take walks in nature. We like to go out in nature and sit. So we were just sitting just the other day here in the woods at Escapees RV park, and a gentleman goes by and says, Karen, come here. I'm like, okay, yeah. We're sitting in these stools, and they're like, oh my gosh, I never go in the woods. I'm like, yeah, okay, what? And then she goes, there's 5 poisonous snakes in there. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I said, I went back in on copperheads and rattlesnakes and all that. I'm like, that's interesting. I go back and sit down. I say, Harris, I'm in, like, he said there's like 5 poisonous snakes in here. We shouldn't be in here. We're like sitting here. He goes, it's because of, God protects us, that we have that protection. Well, we haven't seen one yet, and we've been here almost 2 weeks. So to get back to Harris, it's really powerful to, again, praise each other and give each other grace. Have a routine and follow your routine. And really your routine is every day. Get up at the same time in the morning. Go to bed at the same time, because that really builds structure. Otherwise, if you get up late one morning, it's like, where am I? Or if you don't have a list of what to do to check, then you're like, well, you can look in your planner and go, I don't have anything to do. Yeah, let's go do that. It's more fun. So you want to make sure you look at your planner at night and go, oh, yeah, I wanted to do this, this, and this. And I like to say millions rather than does it make sense, because I choose to make millions, not just cents.
Oh, it's beautiful. It is for everybody. Like we should kind of have our week, plan. And like you said, look the day before what's going on the next day. So
I one other thing is that it's all about foods as well. So foods we eat organic, non-GMO is sugar, high fructose corn syrup, hydrogenated oils, because for ADHD people and anyone really, it's just detrimental to the health, your health, and it doesn't help you concentrate. It doesn't assist you with being creative or focus or comprehension. So the snacks, again, it's all around our ketones, eating avocados and nuts and almonds. And it's really good to remind each other, well, I see some salt and vinegar potato chips in the cabinet, but does that serve me? No. No, because it does nothing for the mental clarity that we choose to have throughout the day. And that's very powerful.
Yes, because our brain is involved in everything we do. You know, how we think, how we behave, how we feel. So if we focus on our brain health, then that is kind of like our main organ that directs our life. So if we can take care of our brain, then most likely we are going to heal those feelings, those behaviors, the way we're thinking. So yes, I'm glad you share that your diet is important.
Very
Tell us about
water as well. Always water.
yeah, your brain uses a lot of water. Dr. Amen says that our brain is like the highest real estate organ in our body. So we have to really put our attention to our the health of our brain so that we can have a beautiful life.
True.
We can choose, right? So what are those ketos you said that you drink?
Ketones.
Ketone.
Ketones is actually like, here's a packet of one. Ketones is actually designed for our Navy SEALs and NASA. And originally it was designed for them for focus and clarity and energy, because when they're out on the ships or out and about, they don't necessarily have the food to keep their focus and their clarity clear, and the energy that goes along with that. So with ketones, we just pour this in water in the morning, and here we basically pour it in here. So we drink ketones. We do a 24-hour fast every Sunday to Monday, and then we also do a 60-hour reboot, because that rejuvenates the body and the mind. But ketones is also great for kids with epilepsy. And I'm not making any medical claims here. This is just what I know, what I've learned, and what works for me. I've been drinking it now for 3 years, and my husband, and I will always drink them because of that. It like turns the light. It's like turns on the light bulbs. It's like you can see things you never seen before. You've got that focus. You can hyper focus on so many things now, whereas before it had to interest me. So ketones it's about for mood as well. If you're depressed or anything, besides saying I got this, I got this, I got this, and giving your smile and raising your eyebrows for raising the dopamine in your brain, ketones does all that as well. And it's just very, very powerful.
Wow, I will have to do my research on that. I mean, I've heard that it's like whenever you run, your body automatically releases,
Puts you in ketosis. Actually, and thank you for bringing that up. And I apologize if I interrupted you.
No, you're good.
When you mix this, it's in your system to put you into ketosis within about 55 minutes. And you start feeling that energy. And you're in ketosis where it's burning your fat. If you have any fat to lose, if not, then it helps preserve your muscle, makes you stronger. There's just a lot of benefits to it. And I can send you a video, just a 3-minute video that explains it very easily about the campfires.
Yeah, good.
Cool.
Please share with us, like, who is who do you help? You help parents and children where there is ADHD in the home?
Yes. And originally, if I may say this, back in 2017, we were attending a leadership conference, week long. It's all about giving back to your community. Well, as we're ending this 1 week long conference, a couple comes up to us and says, Karen Harris, we really like your energy. You're high energy. You're always giving praise and gratitude to everybody. We love your energy. We want you to come to our house. At the time, we were in Colorado with our retreat, and we had our tiny home there. They knew about it. We shared that with people. And they said, we want you to bring your tiny home to our house and live with us for a month because we have a 5-year-old son that was just diagnosed with ADHD and we don't know what to do. And so that was what started us thinking, wow, okay, great. What do we choose to have? And then I've got my transformation life coach and in life coaching, and then also my coaching with ADHD and now neuro coding, and it all tied in. Now, when we did move here, they live in Texas, but that even though that idea, that's what set us in more in stone, where we thought, wow, okay, to be in Texas, there's lots of veterans around and their families, active duty, and also veterans. Because there's actually, if I may share this with you, with veterans, there's nearly 22 suicides a day with the military. So my husband being 25 years in the military, his focus is with veterans and active duty, because it's all around PTSD, and with ketones, it helps with your mood and everything else, like I just mentioned. So to get back to families, I'm very passionate. I love children. I love people. I love working with mothers and fathers and grandparents and caretakers. And if I can share with people what I've learned now, had I known that back when I was growing up, it's just so valuable. And they're just small things that you acquire, and it becomes a habit after you bring it into your household. It seems like a overwhelming maybe at first, and a challenge, but we can look at it as maybe not maybe, but as an opportunity. And I just share with people how to just live their most joyful life and just go further faster.
That's beautiful. So, what are some of the advice that you would give to parents that are, stressed because child is hyperactive? They just don't know how to handle, how to manage the hyperactivity. What would be like the fundamentals? I know you mentioned diet, that is important.
Yeah, diet, right? Diet's huge. Praise your child. Praise your child, like I've been stating, but it's really important to praise your child on what you see them doing well at, and then they want to do more of it. Let's see, with the do something fun with them, do the activities, take them out in the woods, take them to, I love to go to art festivals, and where I can be creative in pottery lessons, or in making pottery. Also, like camps are really valuable for young children in any age, because it helps them build their self-esteem and their social skills. Because so many times when I was a child, it would seem like I was an outcast. I was the last to get picked. I didn't understand why I'd blurt out things, and didn't understand how my mind was working. Although I knew I was very intelligent, things just weren't always working out in my favor. So just, let's see, positive reinforcement. Doodle, always have like a backpack. It's called like a go backpack. So have it set up. If you're going out to eat, have them with a journal or in a doodle pad and with markers. May as well use their brains versus just sitting there instead of doing electronics per se. Have gratitude cards. Teach them how to correspond with people, with their grandparents or with their friends. Let's see. Photography is another good one. It seems like most people have cell phones or a camera. That's very powerful. Oh, also label everything. Label everything in the top. This is a kind of a wisdom tip. Label everything in the top right-hand corner of anything you do. That's very valuable. And with your children, make sure you label everything they have, because at times we get so excited. I'm like, squirrel. And then we like leave things behind. But if it's labeled with your number on, it's like awesome.
Okay.
So that's very cool. Teachers, another thing to do is with teachers is ask the teachers to break down the assignments. Break down the assignments to something smaller. And like, say, for example, you'll to improve your child's follow through with anything you're doing. This is really powerful. I do it with Harris. I say, eyes on me. And he actually looks at me, and he's 74 years of age. And I'll be 59 this year. And so that's pretty powerful. So how to improve your child's follow through is a rule of 3. Your rule of 3 is make eye contact, say the instruction, just say it to them, and ask him or her to repeat it back to you 2 times. And then if they are writing and they have a journal that they're always keeping with them, some small journal that they can write it down, have them to write it down, because what you write, you invite. So that's it's all about repetition. And with the backpack, and also like the checklist, another tidbit, a wisdom tip is a checklist. Put your checklist in their backpack so they can take responsibility, and that increases their self-esteem and confidence that they're responsible for themselves. They check the checklist. Okay, yes, I got my water, I've drank my ketones, I've exercised, I've got all my supplies for everything I need, I've got my homework, and I've got my journal and pen, most important, with all my markers, so I can doodle. Because sometimes when I doodle, I can listen better when I'm doodling. That's just and again about the improving your child's follow through with the rule of 3. That actually improves your recall. Again, what you write, you invite. Does that make millions?
Yes, you make millions. It's a great idea because we don't think of labeling their stuff, but like you said, they squirrel
Even,
passes by, they're gonna forget their stuff. So
and have a cubby. This is very important as well. Have a place where they can have their own. So if you can just use a cubby in your house or wherever you're living, or a suitcase, something that is their own, that they know they can put their things there and nobody else touches it. So then you can remind them, you can say, remember this. And may I share one other thing right now?
yes, yes.
It's really powerful, is what I learned in my coaching, is that the subconscious mind doesn't pick up on no and don't. How many times have I told Harris, don't slam the door? Because I'm super sensitive to sounds, hypersensitive. That's my superpower. I say, don't slam the door. And he slams the door because he says, wow. He calls me Moonbeam. I call him Sunshine. He goes, Moonbeam. Moonbeam told me to slam the door. I'm not sure why, because she didn't like it, but I'm going to slam it anyway because she said to. So the brain doesn't pick up on it. And the word no. How many zillions of times have you told your children, your loved ones, your grandparents, no? Well, the mind doesn't pick up on it. The subconscious mind doesn't pick up on it. And that's one wisdom tip. The second wisdom tip is to think is to create. So to remember to have a 5-minute mind movie of your dreams, of your vision. Even work with children on one goal. What do they want to acquire? What do they want to do with the grandparents, or something fun? Do they want to go to a camp? Have them visualize them at camp, and that raises their dopamine, builds their self-confidence. And when they get there to camp or whatever they want to acquire, then you're in the present moment. You've already experienced it in the present moment now. It's very valuable.
That's beautiful. Yes. I've been practicing that trying not to say don't do, like, don't sit on the couch. So
Mm-hmm.
as a mom, like as a mom, I'm like, okay, please sit on the floor. Like if they're having a drink or something, I used to say, don't sit on the couch. And of course, they would sit on the couch. Uh, Now and then when I wasn't looking. So it's like, it is true. If you tell your child what you want them to do versus what you don't want them to do, they're more likely to follow uh, directions, because our brain doesn't pick up that don't do this or the no.
And
So
make
it's
care. Apologize. I mean, that's a lot of times with ADHD.
you're
You'll
good.
pull off, and then you'll just say, ask for grace when you cut them off, like I just did with Pal. So I interrupted her, and that's just something learned over time. That's why you keep a journal with you, so you can write down a note. I'll share this with you. I'll read this, okay? It says,
Yes.
whatever you're holding onto has a message and a lesson, completing a cycle of action, and releasing it once and for all only happens when the flow between your inside, meaning like your inside game, and your outside game, what you're voicing, propels you to your wisdom point. It's a mouthful, but it's really powerful. So you really want to, it's about the transformation of transforming your inner inner circle with your outer circle.
Okay.
And also another thing is to put anybody negative or any kind of toxic people in your outer circle versus having them in your inner circle. That because it's just it's not healthy for your mind, for your self-esteem, confidence, or anything. And so just put people that lift you up, have mentors and coaches. That's very valuable.
Yes, because we are the average of the 5 people we hang around the most, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. 5. Wow. So place those 5 people, somebody that you want to be like, have them in your circle.
Yes. And if you think, man, like physically they might not be right next to you, but it could be an author you follow. It could be a mentor you're choosing uh, to learn by. It could be, like Joseph McClendon III. He's one of our mentors, right? We always learn great things, and we're always growing when we implement his teachings. So,
Absolutely.
yes, it's so important creating that inner circle that's going to help us. It's going to nurture us and help us grow. Now, Karen, I have a question about a child's self-esteem, self-worth. How would you advise us to nurture them? Like you said, you didn't feel understood when you were younger, right? Because you were a genius, but you said you didn't feel understood. How can we take that step to 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 make our children feel understood, feel loved, and help them to love themselves?
Well, one thing comes to mind, like when you're introducing them to other children, to do it through an activity. That way, it's not like you pick teams. So then maybe if they're the last person, they don't get picked. That's not good for your self esteem at all. So to have some kind of activity like kayaking or paddling or fly fishing or hunting, whatever you get out there and do, exercise, it builds up your self-esteem and your self-confidence. But say that, ask me the question again.
Like
Mine
how,
went
not
great.
like when you're coaching a child, how do you help him or help her to feed the self-love, self-esteem?
Well, like I stated earlier, be your inner coach versus your inner critic. Because if you're inner critic, everybody else is your critic outside the world. So if you can say to yourself, I got this, I got this, I got this, and you use the hand movements, it's very valuable. That and there's other wisdom tips as well.
Okay. And I guess as parents, help them see the beauty that it is within them so that they can learn to value themselves.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because sometimes they feel like they're not smart enough or they're not fast enough or,
Here's what I want to add. So thank you for bringing that up. It's called what I do is I work with people, and it's called rainbow moments. So again, remember when I was talking to you about your colors and things like that, your purples and your blues, your higher frequency, and your reds and pinks that people put girls in are lower frequency. But your rainbow moments, you're thinking of a rainbow, Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, indigo, violet, and there's your blue in there, of course, as well. But what the rainbow moments are, you'll sit down with your child. You each have a journal, and you'll sit down and go, let's think about all the things we've accomplished in our life. Let's just say, even if we're 8 or 9 years of age, we can say, I learned to ride my tricycle at age 3. I learned to play the piano at age 5. I was successfully went through kindergarten. I mean, everything that you can think of, I learned to let's see. I learned to take pictures, at the age of that I was in a play at the age of 9. So you want to list things like whatever brings you joy that you've accomplished on your own. That's really powerful when I work with people with ADHD or an ADD, is to go through those rainbow moments. So therefore, if you're depressed or you're kind of down, you're like, man, I can't do anything right. My teacher's yelling at me. My parents are yelling at me. I'm just like, I can't do anything right. But I know I'm smart. Is you'll look back through your journal and you'll go, wow, look at this. I won the art show at the age of 10. I made some gratitude hats that Karen showed me at the age of 12. I mean, so you're just thinking back of all the things that you've really done well at, and that is very valuable
That is beautiful.
For anyone. So your rainbow moments, that's what we call them.
That's beautiful because you build success on top of success.
Yeah,
You're like,
exactly.
you've accomplished this. Okay, what else can you do now? So I love that. Karen, where can we find you? Where can we find your hats? Where can we find more about you? If there's anybody in our audience, I'm pretty sure there are, and they want to know more about what you do and how you do it. So where can we find you?
Okay. vividlifebydesign.com. And then there's the second one, and I know you've asked me this, and I have written it down, but I'm not locating it on my mind map. Is that vividlifedesign.com and vividlifebydesign.com. Just try either one of those. But on May 1, it'll be active.
Awesome.
And also, my email is vividlifedesign@gmail. And I'm on social media, Karen Sizelove-Murphy, and Instagram, Facebook.
Yay. Any last minute message that you can give us before we go? Do you have any core message that you didn't share?
Okay. So remember, if you can dream it, you can create it. Because what I do, I dreamt it. I prayed about it. I dreamt it. I sketched it out to scale. I built it. I live in my tiny home. Here's another one. Here's a Joseph McClendon III. It's awesome. And everybody can follow along if you like, even you, pal. As I think,
so I feel. As I feel,
so I do.
So I do. Yes. As I do.
So I have.
So I have.
Yes. So our power was as I think, so I feel. Hand over your heart. As I feel, hand over your chest. So I do, as though you're running. As I do, then you put your hands out far left and right. So I have.
So I have. Thank you very much. High five, Karen.
That's powerful. So gratitude. High five.
Yes, high five. Beautiful. Thank you for being here. I hope you guys found an aha moment. I hope you guys found sometimes a word, a phrase is enough for us to begin to create a brighter future in our life. Blessings to you all. Thank you for being here. So please let me share with you that this show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out the website is spanglishworld.ca. Follow all the news and programming. Spanglish Word, please watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thank you so much. Blessings